Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Hope Dealer podcast with Dr. Brian Hooten, recently rated the best podcast of the last 117 years by all the patients here in our office. We love doing these videos. I hope you get some value from it. Please like and share. Today is a biggie. I'm diving deep into the world of cancer. If you have dealt with this, if you currently have it, if you know someone that has it, you're going to get some good tidbits out of this video. I've had 50, 60 people over the years come in to our office. Even though I'm a chiropractor, they came in to see me because they had a cancer diagnosis. So I got thrust into this whole world, and I got to see all different sides of it, the problems with the medical side, the problems with the natural side, and I've been able to, at least from my perspective, put it in order where it's easy to understand. So you may have to take some notes, come back and watch a few times, but really tune in. There's a couple of facts in here that are indisputable, and that's what I base everything on, is like, what are the actual facts of this thing? So I got presented this question. I probably get it 4 or 5 times a year. Dr. Brian, if you got cancer, what would you do? And I've made some different videos about this in the past. Each one gets a little more concise, but I've made a little list up here of the basics. So if you look on the left there, and it looks, you see this list of things to eliminate, and on the right you see things to add to your life. It all comes down to how a cancer cell develops. And we did a podcast video on this last time, so I urge you to go back and watch that. To summarize that video, cancer happens when your normal healthy cells convert into what we call cancer. So it's not genetic like the system wants us to believe, where we get it from our parents. It's the genetic component is the genes of our normal healthy cells start to change and become what we call cancer today. So the list is based on what a cancer cell needs, what a cancer cell doesn't like, and what your normal healthy cells need and what they do like. So if I got cancer, I would sit back and number one, first and foremost, I would get my mindset right. I would eliminate any negative stress. Now, how many of you out there watching this can say, I've got some negative stress in my life? Overly worried about finances, overly stressed out about work. Maybe you have an ongoing feud with family members, whatever that is. Well, it's not like you just take that out of your life. That's not what I mean by eliminate negative stress. I like to think of this on a scale. And if we're not careful, negative stress will overload our scale. So real heavy on this side. And when you overload with negative stress, that creates hormone imbalances in your body, which we can dive into that in another podcast. But the ultimate result of that is a lot of inflammation. You get into this negative feedback cycle, and it's just heavier and heavier. And you literally can make yourself sick by too much negative stress. Well, since you can't take away, totally eliminate some of that, what I tell people, and I tell my daughter this all the time, when something negative happens, overload your body and your life with really good stuff. Whatever that is. In our world, pray a lot, talk about God a lot, read the Bible a lot. And this scale starts to go like this. And then, have a bunch of laughter. Do some fun things with your family. Don't talk so much about school. Don't talk so much about work. What positive outlook can you spin on anything? And over time, you'll see this scale reverse, and the future looks bright. I think just, today's society, just watching the news, you could see this scale just go upside down over here, and you got all this negative crap. That's one thing you can do. Just turn off the news. Quit watching all this political nonsense and fill up with some really good stuff. Heck, just even watching a good, clean comedian. Just off the top of my head, Michael Jr., one of the best ever, but he's very Christian-oriented, goes around to churches. He'll make you laugh. Just load your scale up with really good stuff. And obviously eliminate what you don't need to be dealing with on the negative stress. And that will help your hormones. That will help your body fight harder. You're not breaking yourself down. If you catch yourself talking negative all the time, that's a sign that you've overloaded the scale this way. To really fuel your body. That's the first thing I would do. I would look at my life. What am I doing that's stressing my body out? What am I, where am I misbehaving? Am I hiding something from my wife? Am I not being truthful somewhere? I want to eliminate all that, because that's number one. And then number two, knowing that cancer cells only metabolize sugar. They're anaerobic. Cancer cells don't need any type of oxygen for metabolic purposes. They're anaerobic, so all they need is sugar. So I would eliminate any type of sugar, especially candy, donuts, Coke. Now, I don't do any of that stuff anyway. Coca-Cola, pastries, breads, pastas, rice. We do very little of that anyway. But if I started bleeding from my colon or something, or if started having trouble going to the bathroom and my PSA numbers went up, ladies, if you found a mass in your breast or something, eliminate anything and everything that is this simple sugar or will convert into simple sugar, like the white flour, white rices, and all those things. And you want to take that out. Now what you've done is you've created an environment where the cancer cells are going to have a real hard time breathing. They're literally breathing and metabolizing sugar. So if you take away its number one food source, these cancer cells will start to starve and die off. We call that the cancer-killing diet. So you eliminate anything, any kind of food source for these cancer cells, and that's the first thing that physically you can do. And incidentally, the 40, 50 people over the years, we've had 40 or 50 people over the years come in with this stuff, and in the 20s where people actually followed the rules, and they're still here today kicking. My favorite one is Miss K. We talked about her on a podcast a couple of podcasts ago. She went on that cancer killer's diet, and in a year she had a clear scan. She had 6 organs full of cancer, and she was 72 when we met. So if you're in your 30s, it's probably even easier to eliminate these things by starving them off. So you got to get the simple carbs, the sugars out of your system. Another one that's kind of a sneaky one is bad fats. Now, if you're into health at all nowadays, you've seen these seed oils. That's kind of a buzzword in the natural healthcare world right now. Well, you want to eliminate what we call bad fats, and seed oils are an example. And you want to replace them with good, healthy fats. My favorite being avocados. If you cook with oil, you don't want to cook with anything other than like avocado oil, coconut oil, things with a real high smoke point. But vegetable oil, Crisco, margarine, all those are just terrible fats. Now, what those will do is they clog up your cells so oxygen can't get in like it's supposed to. And if you go back to that former podcast, you'll understand that when you starve your normal healthy cells of oxygen, they start to change into what we call these precancerous and cancerous cells. So you want to eliminate bad fats. And you can take a deep dive online. Those are readily available. Like if you just do a normal search, what's a good fat, what's a bad fat, and we've got lists here in the office that you can read and learn. And then, of course, you got to understand reading labels. Yes, it's going to take some effort. But certainly, once you make those changes, it's a lot easier. And one personal thought about that is once we changed over to the healthy fats and we eliminated all the sugars and all the things that turn into simple sugar, we no longer crave them. We love the way that this healthy stuff tastes. So those are 2 big food ones. Eliminate the bad fats, eliminate the sugar, obviously cancel out the negative stress with positive stuff. And then I mentioned on there, poor spine. As cancer develops, your brain knows this is a problem, or it should know it's a problem. And your brain is always talking to your body to see if there's a problem developing. Then your body will tell your brain, hey, we have a problem down here. So it's a 2-way communication. Well, if your brain registers these cancer cells, it will send the immune system. It'll tell your liver, your spleen, and your kidneys and everything to go attack all these cancer cells and eliminate them. It'll even use vitamin D to do so, vitamin D3. It's a big, powerful play. So your brain is always trying to eliminate these things. If your spine is kinked, or what we call subluxated, and your brain isn't communicating at 100% with your body, are you going to fight cancer as hard as you can? Are you going to fight cancer at 100% if your brain can't get to your body? And the answer is no. Your entire body won't function at 100% if your brain isn't getting through your spine. This is logical common sense. If I cut off my spine, what happens to everything? You die really quick. Well, if you're choking the hose to the garden and the garden's not getting all the water it's supposed to, your garden is going to struggle. This is basic human physiology. So you want to eliminate poor spinal health. And this is the most common one I see nowadays. Looking down at our phone. Watch these kids, the way they're hunched over. That is tearing apart their spine and blocking critical information between the brain and the body. So sitting upright, getting your posture right this way, getting to a qualified chiropractor like us, and there are only a handful of us around. So if you don't have anybody close to you, please reach out. We'll do everything we can. I've got a network of about 300 around the country that I would send my own kid to. Right here in Dallas, we've got 10 to 12. We've got about a dozen that I personally would go to, that I would send my children to, and they are awesome. But we are way over here in the chiropractic world. Most chiropractors won't talk to you this way. Will you cut that out? Okay, it's my nose. I got it. Most chiropractors won't talk to you this way because they're trying to focus on the symptom. In fact, that's the big problem, and that goes back to mindset. So negative stress. If I get a cancer diagnosis, or if I realize I've got cancer, I'm not going to let a doctor tell me what to do. And I think that may be the biggest thing, because once you go into the system is set up to not cure you. It doesn't want you to know how you got this way. It's set up to tell you it's genetic. The only thing you can do is chemo and radiation, and that is just a bad place to go. If I only have 5 years to live, I'm going to make sure those 5 years are high quality. I'm not going to destroy it with poison and radiation. This is just me. If you want to go that route, we'll love you anyway. And people come in here doing that, and I don't pick on them. We just say, okay, look, if that's the path you're going to take, you got to understand what you're doing and at least take care of these other ones. Now let's switch over to the good stuff. What the heck? Greens? And if you search about all this stuff, you'll see people saying, this has cured my cancer, or this will cure cancer. You got to get that language out of the system. There's not a cure for cancer per se. You don't take something out here to cure your cancer. You don't do something to cure cancer. You either put your body in a situation where your body is killing cancer cells, or your body is allowing them to grow. That's it. There's not going to be option B. It's one or the other. You either put your body where it's killing cancer cells and promoting health cells, or you put your body in a position where it's allowing these things to grow. Again, if you don't understand that concept, please go back and watch the previous video where we talk about how cancer cells develop in the first place. So it has to do with your environment. Look, you're going to get all kinds of advice if you're in the middle of this, or if you've got family members. Maybe you're in the healthcare world and you've seen all this advice. I'm just telling you what the guy won a Nobel Prize for in 1931. All right, this is not new information. It's been around, going on almost 100 years. Right, when a body is promoting a anaerobic environment where cells aren't getting oxygen and they start metabolizing sugar in an anaerobic state, that's what cancer is. And the guy won a Nobel Prize for that. People say an acidic body. Well, that's not exactly right. It really comes down to this oxygen thing. So really all you see up here is we're finding ways to get oxygen into cells and then quit feeding the cancer cells. So when you go on a greens diet, obviously you're eliminating most, if not all, of the sugar. I did a video years ago where I would go on what's called a celery juice diet. I literally would wake up in the morning and I would juice celery, put some minerals in there. I would put some maca powder in there. I would add some chlorella and some lemon juice, and I would try to live on that as much as I could for days and days and days and days. So think about that. If you go on a celery juice diet, well, I know that does not sound appetizing. I'd be losing a lot of weight for sure. But now there's absolutely no sugar being put into my body. So whatever sugar's left, the cancer cells are going to suck all that up, but then they're going to run out of food. What do you think is going to start happening to them? They start dying off. And then now your immune system can take over and start eliminating more and more of these bad guys. And I fully believe, this is Dr. Hooten, all right, I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm saying I fully believe if you did that, you're going to starve off these cancer cells. And like I said, we've had well over 20 people do that very thing and get clear scans after. So eliminating bad food and replacing with just greens. Now, if you need some protein, which I would I would go with clean fish, wild-caught salmon, wild-caught cod, things that you can source from a real clean environment. Definitely not bottom-feeding shellfish and shrimp and all that. Those things are disgusting. They're the cockroaches of the sea. As good as they taste, those things are full of crap that you don't want in you. In fact, the Bible talks about that. Don't eat any fish without scales. And science agrees. They're highly inflammatory foods, anything with a shellfish. All that lobster and crab and all that tasty stuff. But you want a really clean fish, wild-caught salmon, wild-caught cod. Try to stay into the wild-caught territory that's not shellfish. All right? And again, we have lists here if you want more detail. Get adjusted 3 or 4 times a week. Just exactly like I told you before, what a proper adjustment does is allow your brain and your body connection to flourish. And just like a garden, if you kept that hose wide open flowing, your garden's going to flourish and get stronger. So that's a priority for me. Healthy fat, I would want healthy fats being, in your cell, there's a lining of fat around the cell, and bad fats clog that up. Healthy fats will actually open that up so oxygen can get in and out, and waste products can get out easier. So things like avocado, coconut oil, and so on. Now, down here, I'm getting into more of a therapy type thing. But ozone, we have some ozone machines. I have a couple at home. And ozone, if you get it into your body appropriately, will break down into massive doses of oxygen. So it's like considered an oxygen bomb. Now, if you sit there and try and breathe ozone, you start coughing up one of your lungs because you're not designed to inhale ozone. But you can do water, you can do a sauna and put the ozone inside the portable sauna tent with your head out so you're not breathing this ozone. And that will saturate into your body. There's places you can actually get ozone infusions. We don't do that here. I don't put any needles in anybody here. No, but ozone is a really good therapy. It's on the natural side because, like I said, it's creating a big oxygen bomb. And there's a couple other benefits with the ozone therapies. And then lots of breathing. Like, how many of you have ever found yourself like taking a big sigh like that? Well, that is your brain actually saying, slow the heck down, take a big breath. I need some oxygen. And then people watch you do that, and they're like, what's wrong with you? And then you may say, like, well, I just, I'm stressed out. But your body takes over for that second, and it's telling you to suck some oxygen in. So what if you did that on purpose? And you sat back and took 5 minutes where you spent all that 5 minutes taking a giant inhaled breath, exhale normally. Like, you don't have to go, because then your heart rate goes up. You don't want to simulate exercise here. It's just, if you do that, just whatever you're doing, wherever you are right now, if you're driving, pull over, right? If you're at home, if you're working, just take a minute and do this, and then feel the endorphic rush that happens. You're squashing negative stress on the spot. You're undoing some of the effects of these negative foods, right? And just the relaxation will help your spine flow a little bit better. And then you're helping your body promote all these other good things, and you're saturating your blood and your tissues with this, obviously, oxygen because you're inhaling it, and you're creating a cancer-killing environment on the spot. So just deep inhaling. If you want to go into that, there's the sort of the father or the godfather of breathing is this guy out of Sweden, and I'm having a brain fart of his name right now. If you're watching this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We're going to pause. Can you edit that later? Yeah, the godfather of breathing. I just remembered his name, Wim Hof, Wimhoff. And he's got courses, and he's got plenty of videos out there, and he'll instruct you on how to maximize just breathing. So there you have it. That's what I would do if somehow I thought my body was developing cancer. Like I said, if I was bleeding. In fact, 20 years ago, before I was really focused on my lifestyle, I would bleed a lot when I would go to the bathroom, and it was fresh, raw blood. And I started developing hemorrhoids. And if you know anything about those, they're not just on the outside. They'll go on the inside, and they're like polyps, and they're very precancerous, they call it. So then I started a deep dive into this lifestyle thing and understanding what cancer is, and I realized I had created a cancer-promoting environment. So I started doing all this stuff, and I haven't had any blood in 20 years. I mean, I went at it hard. I cleaned up all the crap. I don't eat any bad meat, no bad food, no bad sugars, very little misbehavior, if any. And then I load up with a whole bunch of the good stuff. And then my body took over and killed this thing, and I haven't had any issues since. That's what I would do. If you need to reach out to us, please do. If you're one of our patients in our office and you want to take that next step, or if you're not in our office yet and you want to come in and start this lifestyle shift and this change into a cancer prevention mode, please come in and let us know what your goals are, and we'll show you these are the rules of your body and how to pull it off. This is Dr. Hooten signing off. Remember, drugs are bad. God is great, and so are you. In fact, my shirt is really good. We have a plan. We wake up every day, and whether you realize it or not, you have a routine, right? What does that plan look like? Did it involve donuts this morning and cereal? Did it involve waking up with stress? Or did you wake up with a healthy attitude, a positive mindset, with a plan that includes eating clean and taking care of your spine? That would be God's plan if you think about it. Our plan is crap, is garbage. Garbage in, and therefore we get garbage out. God's plan is to take care of your temple. Dr. Hooten signing off. We'll talk to you next time.